welcome back to my channel. It's Claire. Let's talk about the latest episode of Game of Thrones. I know I kind of made a fuss about like whether or not I would potentially live stream, but by the time I finish the episode, it is well past my typical bedtime. So like I am not mentally or physically capable of doing something like that. But what I'm going to do is post like some of my initial thoughts in my story on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram. It's Miss Claire Bear with 3 S's. And then just check out my story right after the episode and I'll lay down just my initial biggest reactions. And if you like these videos talking about Game of Thrones, make sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe. That helps me out the most. Let's get to the episode. So I actually really liked this episode. I liked it a lot more than the last one. So if we're kind of sticking with like the good, bad, and the dead that I talked about in my last video, the good, there was a lot in the good. Pretty much everything with Jaime Lannister I consider excellent. I love that character. I love that actor. Every single interaction between him and Brienne was just like the highlight of this episode. But also with him and Tyrion, that talk that they had in the Winterfell courtyard was really good. I loved that Tyrion like called him out, where he kind of tried to play off his relationship with Cersei, like she played me for the biggest fool of them all, and Tyrion's like, you knew. Ooh, there's that old, clever, spicy Tyrion that we like kind of haven't seen in a hot minute. Brienne sticking up for him asking to be a part of her division of the army, and then for me, the highlight of the episode, the absolute like crowning jewel, was when Brienne gets knighted and everybody's watching and clapping and cheering, like, oh, my heart. That was just so sweet. That's what I'm talking about, that I kind of mentioned in the first episode. These characters coming back together, I want them to do it in a meaningful way that is powerful to them and is powerful to me as a viewer. And that just like, oh, it's just so sweet. And it's just really nice to see all of these people that I've spent so much time with, for the most part, have all these pleasantries and just positive reminiscence before what I'm assuming will be a lot of deaths. I'm now kind of thinking, and whether this was on purpose or not, last season we virtually had no major character deaths. Even though intellectually I know a lot of people will die, I'm just kind of like, but no one's really died for like 10, 12 episodes now. These next 3 or 4 episodes are going to be really brutal if major characters start dying, because of, this is gonna be rough. I'm not looking forward to it, actually. The only thing with Jaime that kind of didn't land for me, and I had a feeling that this was going to be the case, was his interaction with Bran. And I don't see a good solution for it, because at the end of the day, Bran is no longer Bran, he's the three-eyed raven. And he kind of just has this like, you didn't do what you did to me, you would never be the man you are today, and I would never be the three-eyed raven. It just weirdly felt like Jaime got to wash his hands clean, his hand in his stub, of what he did, which is one of the more horrific things that you could do to somebody, actively trying to kill a child. Yes, I could sense that Jaime was remorseful, but it just didn't have the sort of impact that I was hoping for. I recognize that I don't know if that impact is possible with the state that Bran is in currently. Also, really like their plan against the Night King, if we're talking about Bran. Love that they're using him as bait. Love that they're not just going to try to be a straight-on mano-a-mano fight. When it's the undead against the living, you really don't have much of a chance. So I'm glad that they're taking a much more clever approach, although noticeably the Night King and his dragon on that last shot, when it showed all the whites on their horses staring down Winterfell, Definitely didn't hear or see anything with the Night King and the Resurrected Dragons. I have heard theories that he's just going to head down south and deal with King's Landing or Cersei directly. He might still be going towards Winterfell, but taking a just different approach, who knows? But I thought he was noticeably absent. Love Theon and Sansa, coming back together. That was also one that you don't get a lot of heartwarming moments in this series. That's just not what this series does a lot of, but when it does, it's just so tender. Yeah, just anything at the fireplace, just literally anything I was pretty into. Except for Tormund's giant story. It was just weird, kind of humorous, and definitely the type of humor that this character would do. Pod's song at the end was just really good, really effective. I love a good song montage, an effect that totally works on me. I also really liked Arya and the Hound's interaction, and I guess oh god, what is he? Lord of Light Priest guy, the Fire Sword guy. I just like the Hound a lot. Hope that he does something really, really heroic in the end. We've just known for so long that he's actually a good guy somewhere deep under there, and while Jaime, his transformation has been really visible and kind of everybody recognizes that, the Hound has been really subtle and not around other characters. Kind of Brienne and Arya know sort of that he's a good guy. No one really knows. I would love if he did some grand heroic thing at the end. I think that would be really sweet. And I just realized that we haven't really seen anything between him and Sansa. And he and Sansa had a whole arc together back in season 2. Oh, with this little bird. And it would be cute if they had a little something, but we only have 3 episodes. I might be asking for a lot. Speaking of Sansa, she has just been on top of things this season. And her thing with Dany, I just cannot express how much I just hate Dany. I hate her. This scene with Sansa, which was really good, don't get me wrong, Dany drives me crazy. She is such a brat. The way she went into it too just felt so fake. Oh my god, I was just turned off from it immediately. Just the whole we're women rulers, people undermining us, and we have that in common, don't we, Sansa? And when Sansa eventually replies yeah, I should have thanked you for coming up, that was my mistake, I was aw, that felt genuine. But everything coming out of Dany's mouth, which I hope is on purpose, I hope it's not just because Emilia Clarke is a bad actress or something like that. Dany's not here to be Sansa's friend. Dany's not here to be anyone's friend. Dany, and we see this towards the end of the episode, isn't even really here for Jon. She is here to end the army of the dead so she can take the Iron Throne and rule, because she believes it is her right, and she expects everyone to bow to her because she has the dragons and the Unsullied and blah blah blah. That tension of oh yes, I get you, I respect you, I like you, and her putting her hand on Sansa, and then when Sansa asks the hard question of but what about the North? And then just kidding. I thought that was really good, and of course it gets interrupted. If you guys live after this invasion, this is a question that does need to be answered. I'm certainly of the camp of the North should just be separated from Westeros and its own little thing. I mean, it pretty much already was, so it might as well make that official. Do not bow. Every time they even deal with anything going on in the South, it just leads to death and destruction. So it's cut that off, get away from that. When Dany goes down to the crypt and Jon explains who he really is, and I don't blame Dany for being skeptical actually, because it's yeah, why would she believe that right away? It does sound really ridiculous. Although, and even though the dragon ride scene was not at all my favorite from the last episode, maybe subconsciously cement in her mind oh shoot, yeah, Jon maybe is kind of special. But I love that it was an immediate, but if that's the case, then you are the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. You are now my enemy. Not exactly, but that's definitely the vibe she was giving off. And part of the reason I hate Dany so much, outside of her extremely bratty, entitled, horrible, tyrannical attitude, I just ultimately feel like she wants the Iron Throne and she wants to rule above all else. And what she was saying to Sansa about, like, I came up north because I love Jon. Please, I don't buy that for a second. I think you care about Jon. I think you're really happy to be with him or whatever. You came up north because there would be no Westeros to rule if the Army of the Dead wins. That is the ultimate reason. Like, do not think that your love for Jon is the pinnacle, is the actual truth. I'm really nervous that she's going to turn around towards the end of the series and have this really magical, heroic moment, and then the North and everybody is gonna be like, wow, she really is special, she really is a savior, and then bend the knee towards her. I will throw a fit. But for this episode, the tension is high. Everybody's ready to die. We had some really sweet interactions. We have some really tense interactions. And now we just have to like drop all of it and then just see who lives, I guess. We're gonna talk about what I didn't like. But Arya and Gendry hooking up, it is not the actress's fault that she looks permanently 12. However, it makes me so wildly uncomfortable. I had to like block my eyes. I felt like a pervert. No deaths this episode. Maybe instead I should give some predictions for who I think is going to die next episode. And this is just off the top of my head. Anything could happen. Jon, Daenerys, Sansa, Arya, Tyrion, maybe Jaime, maybe Brienne. I would say they're more safe than not. Tormund, possibly. Gendry, that could be really devastating for Arya. Anyone from the Night's Watch minus Jon, so I mean like Sam and that other guy. Maybe the Hound, maybe the resurrected Fire Sword Priest. So pretty much any character that's not a main character is up in the air. This episode as a whole was just really, really charming, which is like, I think the point, to kind of put these like warm, happy feelings in us and then ruin us forever. From a 1 to 10 scale, I'd honestly probably give this like an 8 to 8.5. Because like the first episode, it was slower paced, in the sense that there wasn't a lot of action, but there was a lot more meaningful character interactions that were really sweet or really funny or really tense. So let me know what you guys thought of the episode down in the comments below. I love going through them. I love having those interactions. Make sure to check out my Instagram story next week to see my like immediate thoughts after the episode. Miss Claire Bear with 3 S's in Miss. And to subscribe because that helps me out the most. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.